It's Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. On today's show, we got a Bears draft visits tracker. We're going to explore every top 30 visit plus other prospects Chicago has met with, either at the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, the Combine, Pro Days, etc. Now, disclosure, filming this Thursday afternoon, so it's possible if you're watching this on Friday or something like that, that a few more have come in. But this is where we're at as of 3 or 4 o'clock on Thursday. Now, before we get to some of these visits, the players they've met with, as of now, the Bears have 4 picks. Obviously, the 2 top 10 picks, 75th pick, 122. We'll see if they add or subtract from there with trades. A lot of GMs, scouts, draft experts have kind of just said that this is a 4-round draft, so I'm not surprised that the Bears have gone with a lighter approach here in terms of overall picks, but they still have the flexibility to move around if they choose to do so. Now, before we get to these visits, go check out some of our recent draft content. I took some trade down targets in a video. Who could the Bears draft if they move down from number 9? My latest mock draft, Caleb Williams, and who I did trade down in that mock draft. And then I reacted to ESPN's 7-round mock as well. More draft content to come, but if you subscribe, go to the content tab. You can check out these videos plus a whole lot more. All right, we'll kind of, pick our spots on who to spend more time on here. A lot of visits to dive into, but Caleb Williams, of course, completed his top 30 visit this Wednesday, and we got some information that emerged. He met with some players at dinner and some Bears staffers. DJ Moore was there reportedly, so was Tyreek Stevenson, several others, according to Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback. I really like to see that DJ was there, start to build that bond, as it's pretty clear where this is headed, that they are going to draft Caleb Williams. For those who have been to Sophia Steak and Lake Forest, that's where they went to dinner. And like I said, those staffers and players were there. Pretty cut and dry at this point. It sounded like the meeting went really well, and it's all about just turning the card in. Caleb Williams will be the pick. Kind of reveal these two together. Malik Nabers and Rome Odunze have both been at Halas Hall. Obviously, 2 of the top 3 receiver prospects in this draft, along with Marvin Harrison Jr. Both really good players. It's kind of pick your flavor, right? If you want the more explosive, shifty player, go Malik Nabers. If you want bigger body, X type of receiver in Rome Odunze, who's also shifty in his own right for his size, you could go with the Washington product. I like them both a lot. I think there's a better chance Odunze falls to 9, considering some draft boards have Nabers as wide receiver 1 over Marvin Harrison Jr. I do not. I think MHJ is the best in this draft, but keep that in mind. Now, pick a wide receiver. Who would you rather have? Type RO for Rome Odunze or MN for Malik Nabers. Go ahead and drop an initial down in the comments. Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama. He came in with the crop along with Caleb Williams, by the way, so that's certainly interesting. That could be a combination at 1 and 9 as well. Turner, 10-sack season a year ago for the Crimson Tide, and I've kind of said this. I think out of the top edges, which include him, Jared Verse, and Laiatu Latu, I think Turner has the most upside because he's such an explosive athlete. He's got super long arms. He's a tick undersized for a 4.3 end, but he plays bigger than that and plays the run really well. So I would not be surprised at all if the Bears ended up drafting this guy. How about Chop Robinson, the edge out of Penn State? I don't think he's realistically in play at number 9. I think he would be in that trade-down category later in the teens, maybe early 20s, depending on how far they move down. But he's a traits guy. Really explosive, really quick. Kind of checks those boxes on the RAS score that we know pulls an Eberflus value. Brock Bowers has taken a visit as well, the Georgia tight end. I wouldn't completely rule out taking him at 9 or in a trade-down scenario if he's still there, because we know Shane Waldron loves 12 and 13 personnel. He's going to utilize tight ends, but I do think bringing Gerald Everett on board lowers that possibility, but he's definitely a guy they should look into. Now, I do think Ben Sinnott could be a higher possibility, potentially at 75, or if he falls to 122. Now, I did see recently that he could be as high as tight end 2 in this class after Bowers. That would surprise me a little bit with Jatavion Sanders and a couple of other guys in the mix, but he's definitely a draft riser right now, has been rising up those boards, and for good reason. Versatile player, willing blocker, catches the ball well. You can play him at fullback some, so if you were to draft him, you could cut Kari Blasingame if you wanted to and save some money that way. He could kind of be your tight end 3 fullback hybrid and your future tight end 2, maybe even a future starter down the road, depending on how long Cole Kmet is here, which still a very young player. Just got paid. I don't think Kmet's going anywhere. How about Jha'Quan Jackson? If you're unfamiliar with him, get familiar. He's a speedster out of Tulane. Doesn't, veer off too much from Darnell Mooney's game. Quick, he can help in the return game. Could the Bears keep the Tulane pipeline going? Matt Forte, really good player for this team. Darnell Mooney had some good years here as well. Jackson, again, with the new kickoff rule, could benefit from that. Could go higher in this draft because of it. Could be fourth-round option at 122. I certainly would not rule that out. More top 30 visits and others to come, but let's tell you a little bit about our sponsor first. That is Game Time. Listen, the Cubbies, the White Sox, the Bulls, they're all in action at the same time this time of year. It's a great time to get out the house and go to some events. Here's the deal, though. You got to buy your tickets, and it's all online these days, and sometimes it's tough. It's frustrating. Not with Game Time. They have cut out the red tape, all that garbage you have to run through. They've made it a lot easier, and it's just a very user-friendly app. They're going to show you right when you pick a certain team or event, what's the best price available, what is the best value. You can filter based on, lowest to highest prices or different categories as well. They're also going to have snapshots of every seat that are available and exactly what your vantage point is. So if you're unfamiliar with the stadium or with an arena or a concert venue and you're like, man, this price seems good, but I don't know, am I going to be able to see? You'll have the still shot photos, and you'll be able to tell. Download Game Time today. They're most known for their last-minute ticket prices dropping off, so I encourage you to wait till the last minute. Get $20 off your first purchase with Chat Sports. Download Game Time. Lowest price guaranteed. You are not going to regret it. Link is in the comments and in the description to click and redirect you to the App Store today. Create that account and use promo code ChatSports. I found this one interesting. Tyler Guyton, who I believe the Bears have met with multiple times now. I think they met with him at the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and at Halas Hall. So at least twice, maybe 3 times, which you always find that very interesting. This is a traits play. His tape is pretty inconsistent at Oklahoma, but his traits are off the chart. He's big, he's athletic, he's got long arms, but the play is inconsistent. But if you do trade down and you could afford to have him be your swing tackle for a year, and then maybe he replaces Braxton Jones in 2025. So certainly an interesting one. I'm not as high on this idea because I want my first-round pick to be a clear day one starter, and I'm not sure Tyler Guyton would be. So I like them doing their homework on this guy because he's a wild card at offensive tackle, but certainly wouldn't take him at 9, and I think you'd have to trade down at least somewhat far for me to be on board. Kiran Amegadjie, the offensive tackle out of Yale. Another traits play, small school guy, but he's been rising up boards. I think he's probably more of like a round 2 guy. If he's there at 75, that's great value. I would love to take him there. The Bears don't currently have a second-round pick, so obviously keep that in mind. Graham Barton, one of the fastest risers recently. I think he's emerged himself as possibly the best interior lineman in this draft. And what I really like about Barton is I think he could play all 5 spots on the offensive line. He's a multi-year starter at left tackle at Duke. Played some center early in his career, which a lot of scouts think he'll play in the NFL. His arm length is just under 33 inches, though. So, they're on the shorter end, but they're not, crazy short. It's not a Caleb McGarry situation, who's been a good tackle in the NFL, by the way, but he's got, 31-inch arms. So, I think they're long enough if you need him to play tackle, but I love the versatility, high IQ player. If you trade down to 20 or something and take him, I certainly would not complain. He could compete for your starting center role, could be your top backup this year, and then next year he could start at, whatever spot on the line is open, if I'm being completely honest. Zach Frazier, who's just a fun player, a bully at center. Probably the second best center in this draft after Jackson Powers Johnson. Some like him as the best, though. Late first, early second, that's kind of where he's been mocked. For the most part. So, again, I think it would be a clear trade-down scenario where you're getting more capital. But remember, I don't think the Bears have their long-term center on this roster. So do not be surprised if the opportunity is there for them to take someone who could be their future starter. Which offensive line spot would you rather draft? Would you rather get another offensive tackle in here, either for competition for Braxton Jones or just as a flat-out upgrade? Or would you rather get someone on that interior? Remember, don't have a long-term answer at center. Tevin Jenkins in the final year of his rookie contract. Nate Davis's deal, he's through 2025, but you can get out of that deal after this year. So where would you rather attack, tackle or interior offensive line? go ahead and let us know. Some more top 30s here. Cameron Kinchins, who was a part of the Caleb Williams, Dallas Turner group, the safety out of Miami. Didn't test that well. The Bears don't really need a safety, so that's kind of an interesting one. Cam Hart, a lot of corners here out of Notre Dame. Nehemiah Pritchett out of Auburn, freak athlete, one of the best in this class. Elijah Jones is as well. Andrew Phillips. A lot of these corners have a lot in common that the Bears bringing in. Crazy athletes. So, again, corner not a top need, but 75 or 122, if they want to bring in a guy who's going to be an elite special teamer and developmental corner, I would not be completely shocked. Also, Dylan Lobb, the running back out of New Hampshire, who I actually saw at the Combine out at dinner one night. But he's an interesting prospect here. He could be a guy that if they ended up trading Khalil Herbert on draft day, they draft a guy like Lobb to be his replacement in this rotation. I'd probably rather just keep Herbert, but Lobb could be a candidate to be a kickoff returner too. So remember, with the new kickoff return rules, those guys who can do that have more value because you're going to see more returns back in the game. If you want Bears draft coverage daily, join the family by subscribing. I always say this, hey, give us a week. You come back a week from now and you're like, I'm bored of this. I don't like this channel. I'll unsubscribe. No big deal. It's 100% free. No harm, no foul. Take a chance. Come with us. We would love to have you aboard. All right. All of the rest of these draft meetings are a combination of they either brought them in as local visits or pro days or at the Combine or at the Shrine Bowl or at the Senior Bowl. I'm not going to specify where they met with each one of these guys. Just know they have met with them in some regard. Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, all of 4 of the top 6 quarterbacks in this draft. The Bears have obviously met with a lot of these guys to do their due diligence. Darius Richard, I do know he was a HBCU visit out of North Carolina Central. Intriguing potential UDFA type of guy if you want to bring in. Same with Quincy Patterson. I think he qualifies as a local visit. I think he's from the state of Illinois. Marshawn Lloyd, obviously Caleb Williams' teammate, running back out of USC. Aiden Robbins out of BYU, the running back there as well. Blake Watson, Luke Skokna. I think Skokna was local as well. A couple more running backs. Jaron Mitchell, running back out of Butler at the FCS level. Jatavion Sanders, tight end out of Texas. McAllen Castles, tight end out of Tennessee. Again, I'll be curious to see how much they emphasize tight end if they take one in this draft. They still need a third guy there, but they could easily just bring back Mercedes Lewis. Xavier Worthy, Brendan Rice, a couple of receivers. Worthy, obviously, the speedster. Rice, Caleb Williams' teammate. Cam Johnson, a local one, wide receiver out of Northwestern. Josh Cephas, the UTSA product. Obviously, you get to the big fellas here. Joe Alt, Notre Dame, a potential target at 9. Same with Olu Fashanu, although I'd rather trade down a few spots to get him. Blake Fisher, another offensive tackle out of Notre Dame who's very experienced. So I think he could be an intriguing guy in the middle of this draft. Julian Pearl, local out of Illinois. Garrett Greenfield, the offensive tackle out of South Dakota State. Troy Fountainu, who's really versatile, can play tackle or guard. Jackson Powers Johnson, arguably the best center in this draft. Trevor Keegan was a local visit, the interior lineman out of Michigan. Cedric Van Pran, the center out of Georgia. Andrew Ram, the interior lineman out of Oklahoma. Hunter Nuzad out of Penn State. You go to the defensive side of the ball. Byron Murphy, who's really rising right now. I think he could be in play at number 9. Dwayne Carter out of Duke, day 2 probably. Same with Mason Smith out of LSU. Deshaun Mallory out of ASU. Latu, probably not at number 9, but a potential trade-down target. Jared Verse could be in play at 9, also a trade-down target potentially. Adisa Isaac, the other edge out of Penn State, who's got good traits, could be a day 2 type of player, maybe late round 1. Jalen Harrell out of Michigan, probably day 2, day 3 type of player. I am going to completely botch this. Mema Ninjagmeta, edge out of Wisconsin. I think that qualified as a local. Javante Jean-Baptiste, the edge out of Notre Dame as well. He was local too. Blansky Green Jr., South Carolina State edge. Justin Blazik, edge out of Wisconsin Platteville. Javante Jean-Baptiste, who we're just giving him credit twice because he's that cool. The edge out of Notre Dame. Keith Randolph was a local one as well. I think he could be a late day 3 guy or maybe a UDFA target if he slips out of the draft. Tyler Jackson, linebacker out of Northern Illinois, and as Rakestraw Jr., the corner out of Mizzou. That's an interesting one. Max Melton, freaky speed. His brother plays for the Packers, Bo Melton. Rashad Williams, corner out of Texas Tech, really good athlete as well. Reddy Stewart out of Troy, and Kalen Carson, corner out of Wake. One more corner here, Tavion McCarthy out of Mercer. Remember when Mercer beat Duke in the NCAA tournament? That was a lot of fun. Caleb Bullock, safety out of USC. Again, another USC product. Trey Taylor out of Air Force. Isaiah Williams out of Syracuse. Mark Perry out of TCU. There you have it. Trying to get you guys all of the information. Spend a little more time on the top 30 guys because those visits are a little more intimate or a little bit longer, obviously. So there you go. Name a player you want the Bears to draft. You can just say Caleb Williams. You can throw a sleeper in there. I don't care. You can drop 20 players in the comments. Who do you want the Bears to draft? Go ahead and let us know. And be sure to subscribe to the channel because we will continue to cover everything draft-related around the Chicago Bears. News, rumors, visits, trade buzz, draft targets, mocks. We're going to do it all. Appreciate all the love and support.